This is Umar for BoxNation. Gareth Davies is still in Paris. It's been a long trip, Gareth, but enjoyable.
Yeah, very. Paralympics is amazing. Triumph for the human spirit. Amazing stories. I'm off to see the men's wheelchair basketball team in the semi-final against Germany in a couple of hours. I've been to six semi-finals with them over the last six Paralympics, believe it or not, and they've lost all of them. So they've not got into that gold medal position since Atlanta in 1996, when one of the Channel 4 presenters now, Adi Adepitan, works at the BBC, you'll have seen him presenting, was in the team, a great player. I'm looking forward to it. Terry Bywater, the flag bearer, is going to be leading the charge. 12, they've got a real brilliant, they've got no one, you're a Chelsea guy, when they've got no one on the bench who isn't brilliant. So they're playing Germany in the semis. They hammered them by 20 points in the group stages. So unless something goes drastically wrong today at the Arena Bercy here at Paris, then they'll be in the final in a couple of days' time, and I'll be there for that as well. But it's been an amazing game. 33 gold medals so far for Great Britain after day 7. We're day 8 here. I've been here 10 days already. It's non-stop from morning to night. The energy you've got to have for it is relentless. I'm reporting on it for the Telegraph, not doing much of my broadcast work, but really enjoying it. My 8th game, Umar, and it's a bigger cause than just covering sports, because it is a disability movement as well in the world, in terms of perception shift and how they changed accessibility for people with disabilities.
Wow, that's a lot to take in, and it sounds all incredible. I'm sure that's really occupied your time. But surely, in little spurts, Wembley Stadium, September 21st, has come into your mind.
Yes, it has. I was at the Para Equestrian 2 days ago as well, and I had Noya Nui on a stream
Mm.
as well. Watched him against TJ Doney. Of course, I thought Noya Nui didn't put his best performance in. He's a bit flat-footed at times. Got hit a bit more than usual. So I watched that as well. Had that on. I think I was the only person streaming boxing in the media zone. Had a few curious people come over. I was trying to call the Japanese journalists over to see it, but the monster still remains in the top 3 for me. Yes, I've been thinking about Wembley Stadium on September the 21st. Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois did a 1 hour radio show on Talk Sports with Adi Oladipo on Wednesday morning or yesterday morning, in which we kind of covered off, you know, Turkey Al Sheikh, His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh on Talksport, and Ben Shalom on Talksport, and Eddie Hermer, Simon Jordan, and Jim White on Talksport, covered all that off. But also, of course, starting to bring the focus in now on Joshua and Dubois and that great undercard for September the 21st at Wembley. And also, of course, the 96,000 fans that are going to be there. It's going to be an incredible night and a
Mm.
week.
Does this take you back to the days of Lewis Bruno, Gareth?
I think so. I think so. I think they're both at a stage in their careers now. Obviously, Joshua looking to be a three-time heavyweight world champion. Daniel Dubois arisen again. Um, you know, he's rejuvenated, and about the same time he's found his man strength mentally and physically. Um, he's not a youngster anymore. He was ahead of his time up until the fights with Usyk, um, Miller, and latterly Hrgovic. And he's ready for this test. It's going to be a really tough week for him, because he won't have been under such scrutiny before. Yes, I know he had the big stadium fight against Usyk, but there won't be the same media scrutiny around this event. That there wasn't the same media scrutiny around that event as there will be for this, where he is a headline act. He's the defending IBF champion, um, and Joshua brings a lot of eyeballs to the sport. Always has done. He's a megastar. He's a crossover star because of his journey and the critique of him, and what big resonance, what great resonance he has in the UK. So mentally, Daniel Dubois has to hold steadfast in the last 2 weeks now, or 12 days, or 10 days for the fight. And as opposed to I'm sure he's ready physically. It's the mental test that's going to be there for him. Joshua's been through this rhythm a few times.
Much talked about on Talksport, somewhere that you love, Gareth, and have worked for at many years, is Simon Jordan's comments about Anthony Joshua possibly receiving PTSD when Daniel does clock him. Is there any legitimacy in that or not? What do you think?
Well, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be hurt by Daniel Dubois. I mean, we know he went down against Klitschko and recovered. Um, I think he was referring to the Andy Ruiz fight, wasn't he? But Andy
Correct.
Ruiz is
Yeah.
a different fighter and throws punches in a different way. What he will have learned, if he's got Dubois hurt, he'll be patient about how he finishes him this time. That's what he will have learned. He wasn't patient against Andy Ruiz. He hadn't had a good build-up for that contest. As Eddie Hearn admitted when he went on the White and Jordan show,
Mm.
that that he had got a difficult month building into that fight. I remember the bruising around Joshua's face when I interviewed up close Joshua for William Hill in the build up to that fight at Madison Square Garden, Joshua's debut in America. Um, yeah, he could. He may well have PTSD, but he's gonna try and win the battle of the jab early on. It's going to be a battle of the jab, and they both like to do that and then throw their right hands off the jab. So Joshua's hooking is probably better than Daniel Dubois, although Daniel's developing the whole time. Um, it's going to be a great occasion, a great fight. 96,000 people in there. Both men are going to have incredible walk-ins. They'll both be nervous. It's a big occasion. Joshua can be a third-time heavyweight champion of the world. It sets up a prospective fight with Tyson Fury that everybody's been talking about and wants. And if Daniel Dubois wins, he puts himself in the box seat and gets what he deserves. So it's a major occasion. You can't describe. I mean, if you're, I know that all the tickets are gone, but getting that everyone will have an "I was there" moment for that.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Gareth, think about this carefully. Apart from Alexander Usyk for both men, is this their toughest fight of their career so far?
I think the fight for Joshua with Klitschko was very tough, and he learnt in that because he was down and he got up and he won the fight. Um, Having thought he'd won the fight already,
Mm.
remember?
Yeah.
Walked away a la Ali, Muhammad Ali, thinking he'd won the fight. I think Joe Joyce was a very difficult night for Daniel Dubois
I guess
for
each
lots
fight is
of reasons.
different styles, different types of fights.
Yeah, but it's a more difficult night in lots of ways because he was again he was schooled by the jab that night and he couldn't get around it. And that was a brilliant performance by Joe Joyce, if you recall.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's amazing, isn't it, when you go back? This is heavyweight boxing. Styles make fights. The game plan on the night. They're all big, powerful guys capable of knocking each other out. So it's a big, big test this for Anthony Joshua. Even though I make him a 75-25 favourite, something like that on paper, because he's been in the big occasions. But maybe Daniel Dubois has something special, and he has got steel inside himself, and he just had two difficult nights that he's had to get over. The Lorena fight he got over when he was having problems as well. So he can get through a difficult time. Got through the Jarrell Miller fight. Yeah, it sets up for an amazing prospect.
Do you think there's a strong likelihood that both men are going to have to pick themselves up from the canvas in this fight as well?
I think they're both at a stage where they're good finishers. And I think if one guy gets really hurt in this fight, I think he'll be careful how he goes for the other guy. And I think the first guy to be, yes, it could happen. Of course it could, because they're such explosive punchers. But these two are such big punchers that I cannot see them on this occasion getting overexcited about it. They both know what they're up against. We've had the backdrop of Daniel Dubois trying to get under the skin of Anthony Joshua. I thought he handled it very well. He acted like the big brother. He said, no, you're not doing this to me. Have some respect. Sit down or put a chair over your head, which you like to see that annoyance from an irritation from someone like Joshua, because I think that's where he's at his best. I love the two back team staffs as well. You know, the staff that two men have got. I always call him Don Chisora these days. Don Charles. Don Charles is a phenomenal character, a man who we all love in the industry. He's been around a long time. He's done great things for Daniel Dubois. He's great in the corner. He controls Stan as well. Daniel's dad, who sometimes says too much, but is part of Daniel's scaffolding as well, even though Stan gets criticised. He's a very important part of the team. Frank Warren's a brilliant part of the team as well, because Daniel really listens to him and he's been with him from the start. And yet over in the other corner, Ben Davison, Lee Wiley, Barry Smith, but particularly the game plan of Davison and Wiley for Anthony Joshua, the confidence that Anthony has under Ben Davison, the clear instructions, the analysis of the other opponent. It just, it all adds up. You know, these layers that we're talking about adds up to a massive occasion for British boxing. And like you say, takes you back to Lewis Bruno. It takes you back to some of the biggest nights we've ever had in British heavyweight boxing history.
Just before we close off, I want to get your prediction on the fight now, but do you think as we get to fight week and close to fight night, it might change your prediction?
Yeah, it may well change. It does sometimes marginally in fight weeks, and being around the guys and seeing how they are and hearing the whispers of this, that, and the other, and what happened and may not have happened, and also how you feel about the guys when you're around them. At the moment, I see a win for Joshua between rounds 5 and 7. Maybe even a little bit later, but I don't see it going to points. But you cannot rule out Daniel Dubois flattening Anthony Joshua as well. You know, Joshua's last 4 fights, even though he's looked good, he laboured a little bit against Jermaine Franklin. I'm trying to think of the next opponent.
Hellenius.
Oh, Hellenius, yeah. You know, he put him away, but didn't look that good. I hadn't started with Ben Davison by then, but these last 2 fights against Otto Wallin and Francis Ngannou, who I saw a couple of weeks ago, by the way, in Washington when I was out there and had an interview with him, and Jake Paul, I just think they've put some steel in his mindset. They've done a good job with him. So again, it all points like this with both men. You know, as I say, on paper, I think Joshua can do it, but in fight week, as you say, I just might change my mind.
Fascinating insight as always, Gareth. Appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of your time in Paris, and we'll see you in London very soon, hopefully.